right, so by now, I think most of you would have checked on the agenda as to who's the speaker I'm talking about, right? So this one is going to talk about AI for digital transformation, a journey from client to cloud. Allow me to please warmly welcome on the stage Rajesh Kumar, Head Systems Engineering from Juniper Networks. Over to you, Rajesh, and a very, very good morning to you.
Thank you, Shika. Good morning. And hello and good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking your time and joining this session. And I'd like to thank ET for giving this opportunity. So moving further, the topic I'm going to cover today, as rightly pointed out by Shika, is AI driven for digital transformation. So today, when we look at when we talk to any of our customers across the verticals, it can be manufacturing, healthcare, IT, ETS, retail. What we are saying is there is a journey where they are going in for the digital transformation, and they are using a lot of analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, those kind of tools which are really taking them into a journey of digital transformation. So from Juniper perspective, we are also in that journey of using the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and bringing AI and ML together for all our solutions and the products what we offer to the market. So if you look at that, so we are also in the same digital transformation, helping the digital transformation in terms of enhancing the customer user experience, enhancing the operational experience, as well as helping the customers to deploy their services and applications much faster. So this is what I talk when I talk about AI driven. This is what I want to cover in terms of how these applications and services can be deployed faster in the data center perspective today, because that is the most critical part of the digital transformation, what we have seen for any of the verticals, as well as the client to cloud strategy. That means it is just not in the data centers. We need to look at more in terms of the campus, in terms of the branches, in terms of the manufacturing, where they have their partners, their distributors being connected across. So we need to look at the complete 360 degree and say how this happens from the network point of view or the infrastructure, the ICT infrastructure point of view. So when I look at this, when I see how do we tackle the digital transformation is in an organization requires a strong leadership and digital activity. That's what we have seen. And also thinking differently is very critical when we look at digital transformation. And the third, what we have seen is that willingness to change and a vision to transform the company into into the digital world and thrive and grow into that particular digital transformation. So for all this to happen, what we have seen is data is at the heart of digital transformation. Everyone knows about it, right? When we have huge amount of data, then we get three areas of digital transformation what every customer or any vertical customers look at. One is the customer experience. That means to say that, is my customer happy? How are their behaviors? What are they trying to buy? What are they looking at into the company, so that I can enhance those services? I can build more applications and apps around it, right? And the second is operations. How can I automate? How can I make it process driven? How can I reduce the cost? How can I improve the productivity, right? So these are some of the things which comes up when we look at digital transformation. It is the customer experience plus operational experience, bringing it together so that there is a which actually can meet the business motives and the agenda what the business models are coming up with. Maybe competitive, so that they can release the applications and the apps much faster than the competition, or they may have a better user experience to give than the competition, or they may also have a lot of what I can say is the business models where they can build in terms of enhancing their portfolio and coming onto the digital world platforms to advertise those products and offerings much more to the people to reach and then enhance their experience. So when you look at all this, digital transformation is a journey. When we are in that journey, then what is the role of the Juniper, right? We are also with you in terms of this digital journey, wherein we give you that customer experience, we give you that operational experience, and we give that business value proposition, what you are looking at, how to tie up with your technologies, what you are going to adapt, and the network infrastructure, what you are going to deploy. So finally, what I want to say is it is about leveraging tools, data, interfaces, and then future operations, which will become AI driven. So looking at the first point, what I talked about, when we talk about services, when we talk about applications, when we talk about apps to be deployed faster and which can reach the customers and the users in a faster way to take care of the computation, then the data center becomes most critical part of the digital transformation. So it may be a private cloud, it may be a hybrid cloud, it may be their own data center, it doesn't matter. But how we can bring up this greenfield or a brownfield data centers much faster so that you can deploy the applications and the services in a faster way and go to the market, time to market, reduce the time to market and go to market and provide these services to the customers. So what we have come up with a solution is known as intent-based networking. In the intent-based networking, what it means is that the intent, there are three things in an intent-based networking, right? One is the what, another is the how, and the third is the why. What does it mean, right? What is what the network has to do. That is what is what. So the architects, the designers define what my network has to do to drive the services, right? That is the intent. So the how is how do I push this intent to the network? So that is what is how. So the third is why and when. That means to say that when I have the intent, what my network has to do, what are those services which needs to run on this network, and how I am going to deploy this intent onto my network. And third is once I have deployed, then what are the capabilities? That means to say that whether the network is working as per the intent, what I have tried to put it in terms of the deployment perspective. So there is a closed loop automation which comes up, which looks at the network, what it has supposed to do, what it is intended to do, and then look at those base parameters and then find out whether your network is actually performing to the intent what you want it to be. If not, it will give you a closed loop automation and say that this intent is not met, so that your business value prop or the business intent, what you are trying to drive, will not be met because of these particular parameters which I see in the network. So this is the one which we call it as an intent-based networking. That is one unified solution, consistent experience across the day 0 to day 2, and also having a loop back information to see whether it is meeting the business intent, what it has to supposed to do. So moving further, this is what we call it as abstract. So what the abstract difference which brings in is you can look at one data centers as one unified system, so that there is a one single source of truth which will give you all the parameters in terms of building a blueprint, in terms of pushing the config to the devices, as well as monitoring and analyzing the network completely 24 hours 365 days, so that it is actually meeting the base parameters of the intent what you have deployed. So this is what we call it as a unified intent-based approach. And the best part is it is a multi-vendor solution. That means to say that you don't need to have only Juniper as a solution. You can have a multi-vendor solution. It may be a brownfield network wherein you already have an existing network and you are going to deploy additional data center switches, leaf and spine architecture into the system. Then you will have this Abstra, which can do a complete fabric management in terms of the multi-vendor capabilities. And then this is what we talk about the intent based, and we have the complete foundational in terms of the platforms. What we have platforms today which can go up to 400 gig capability, with supporting all the open based architectures of EVP and VXLAN solutions. And we have complete telemetry interfaces. Today no one talks about SNMP. Every customer wants telemetry information, which really gives a lot of basis to do analytics and decisions much faster. So moving further, it is automation solutions. I talked about the fabric management, which is completely an intent-based multi-vendor architecture where you can define the intent and then go forward in terms of the brownfield or the greenfield deployments. And then finally, we have the integration with the applications, whether it can be containers, whether it can be VMware or a hyper or a virtualization, where we integrate with the applications what you are going to deploy. So moving further, so this is what is about Abstra. That means this is one of the case studies which I just wanted to put it across to say that the deployment of a data center, which used to, whether it's a brownfield or a greenfield, which used to take hours and weeks and months, has been reduced to hours and days. This is what the improvement in operational efficiency, improvements in MTTR, improvements in time to deliver, so that the customers who are going in the journey of digital transformation can have their applications and services rolled out much faster, not in months, but in days. So this is what we bring in terms of the data center with the intent-based networking with 400 gig kind of EVPN VXLAN architecture end to end. Moving further, the second, as I talked about in the starting of my slide, that when you look at the digital transformation journey of any of the customer, it is just not data center. For example, in BFSI, they may have to they may have to look at the digital transformation when they're planning a journey. Then there may be a campus which needs actually a refresh, or the branches which they are getting connected to, or the manufacturing where the distributors and partners need to get a refresh in terms of the digital transformation, right? So that is what we call it as a client to cloud technology, or a client to cloud solution, what we bring in with artificial intelligence. So what we say is, when we talk about client to cloud, we are not bothered whether the client is on a Wi-Fi, whether it is client is on a wired, or whether the client is trying to access any of the applications in his own data center, or in a public cloud, or in a hybrid cloud, or in a SaaS platforms, right? But what we bring in is the AI ops, right? The artificial intelligence operations, wherein we bring in that automation, wherein we bring in that insights and the deep visibility into the entire network into it. When you look at a top-down approach, we never look at the network as in silos. That means we never look at Wi-Fi as a different network, wired as a different network, WAN as a different network, and data center as a different network. When we look at this from the AI perspective, and when we talk about client to cloud, we look at the entire end-to-end as one logical network. So a client having an issue anywhere is not accessing the applications, his bandwidth is actually congested, or he may have issues with the Wi-Fi, or he may have issues with the wired, then we will be able to pinpoint using the AI of saying that where the issue is with that particular client, whether it's at the Wi-Fi, whether it's at the wired, whether it's at the WAN, or whether it's at the data center. So if you look at the entire correlation happening for the entire network, whether it's a campus, whether it's a branch, whether it's a WAN network, whether it's a SD-WAN, or whether it's a data center where they're accessing the applications. That is where we come from when we talk about artificial intelligence. That is where we give you the insights. That is where we give you the visibility. That is where we give you the faster resolution, identifying the problems, and enhancing the customer experience as well as the operational experience. So how we do it is, we have the service level, what we call it as a client SLEs. That means to say that we have the base parameters set for the users. These are the base parameters, and any anomalies in the base parameters, we will come to know that user is unhappy, user is not getting the same experience what he's supposed to get, whether it's on a Wi-Fi, whether it's on a wire, or whether it's on a WAN network. The second, what we do is we bring in operational experience by giving a lot of AI driven operational support. That means to say that we have a lot of AI capabilities in terms of identifying the issues much faster before the user comes to know, and then resolving the issues by also using the AI as an engine. For example, we take around 150 to 160 instances from every user every minute to find out how his experience is there any issues, what are those issues, and come up with this capability to resolve and help the NOC engineers, also providing dynamic packet capture so that they don't have to recreate that session completely and then try to identify the issue. That is where we are talking about the AI ops. They are like sitting next to your engineers, right? And a microservices cloud architecture. This gives you a high scalability, agility, flexibility, because you don't have to have controllers in your place. You don't have to have a lot of hardware placed into your premises, because you can have your access points, you can have your switches, you can have your routers connected in the branches, or build a campus network, and then everything goes into the cloud in terms of the management, in terms of the troubleshooting, in terms of resolving the issues. everything, as well as any features which are being added. It will not affect your network, and your network will have the new features added without any maintenance window that is required for your network. That is where we see where the digital transformation you need to look at in terms of seamless digital transformation, wherein you doesn't affect your services, you doesn't affect when you add new applications or apps or the services, or you add more branches, or you refresh your campus networks from in a brownfield networks, but still you run this operations 24/7, 365 days with a good operational efficiency, right? And also a lot of BLE engagements what we bring in terms of whether it is indoor wayfinding, asset tracking for manufacturing, ITOT capabilities what we bring in, so that the manufacturing can have the complete ITOT segregation with the OT on the Wi-Fi or on the wire, and taking seamlessly with the same experience what we offer end to end. So, and also finally, we have something known as natural language process, Marvis, which gives you the capabilities, the complete AI engine, where you can go to the Marvis and say, how is my network today? Or how is Rajesh performing today? And it will give you all the details, and you can drill down much further and to identify where the particular issue is. This is also coming up with conversational interface, as if to say that it will come and tell you whether this AP has to be has some bandwidth issues, or more users being connected to this particular access point, or wired switch has missed the VLAN where you have defined an SSID. So those kind of conversational interface with the NOC engineers, as if it is sitting next to him and helping him to guide, resolve the issues, right? So the other one which I just wanted to touch upon is the SD-WAN. Right, today the SD-WAN is becoming very predominant in any of the verticals what we see. But what we have seen is every customer and every OEM, what they are trying to position is SD-WAN 2.0, wherein we talk about IPsec tunnels, we talk about huge complexity in building this IPsec tunnels, having a hub router to support those many legacy IPsec connectivity to from all the branches and make it more complex, and also have the failover timing is much higher because of the IPsec to go down and come back with the other IPsec tunnels. So this is the problem what we have seen. With the new SD-WAN 3.0, what we have come up is known as a session smart routers. That means we take care of sessions. We are not talking about packets. That means every flow which goes into the application access to the data center, to the cloud, to the hybrid cloud, or to the SaaS platform is all session based. That means the session which can interconnect with the policy, which can interconnect with the number of the QoS mechanisms, the experience, what it requires, it is taken care in terms of the session end to end. It is a bi-directional, so that the user gets the best experience end to end with a session based technology what we bring in. The second what we bring in is the tunnel free scalability. That means to say that we don't create any IPsec tunnels. That means we reduce the bandwidth and increase the performance by 30 to 40%, as well as, since it is tunnel free, there is no complexity of IPsec tunnels to be formed n into n-1/2 in terms of the branches what you want to connect. And the third is we bring in the fast failover, because there is no IPsec tunnels to failover. It is a tunnel free mechanism. But with the tunnel free and the session based, we can also encrypt the traffic which is required to be encrypted. And also we do something known as adaptive encryption. The adaptive encryption means that if the data is already being encrypted, we don't do double encryption. We will identify, for example, voice, video, or applications going onto the internet. If they are already encrypted, we don't do the encryption, and we provide the zero trust security completely as a next generation fiber. This is the portfolio. I don't want to touch upon it because we cover the entire access points, wired switches, routers, and the complete Mist cloud architecture with the complete AI capabilities, which is the assurance part, the proximity part, and also the user engagement using the BLE. So one of the solutions what we have deployed is 11,000 sites of SD-WAN, having the connectivity to the one of the pharmacy companies. 11,000 pharmaceutical stores have been connected together with the SD-WAN solution, what I talked about. And today they have the capability of 99.9% with 100% voice and data availability, which they had issues earlier, and now they are able to take care of it. So finally, I want to come to connected security, because when we talk about digital transformation, security plays a key role. Whether I do digital transformation on the data center or from client to cloud, taking care of Wi-Fi, wired WAN assurances across the entire network. But connected security. Security plays a key role. And today, when I talk about security, perimeter is everywhere, because when you look at ITOT, Industry 4.0, when you look at airports with connected 4.0, when you look at any kind of retail or any kind of BFSI where they are talking about branches having the capability to access any kind of applications, internet, local internet breakouts in every branch or in every campus, what we see today, perimeter is everywhere. We can't define perimeter only at the data center as we used to define earlier, right? Perimeter is everywhere. OT needs a security, IT needs security, application needs security, users need security, whether they are hosted in data center, whether they are accessing from campus or from the home today, anywhere across the network, right? So what we bring in is known as Juniper Connected Security. That means to say that we provide a connected security end to end, whether it's a user, whether it's a device, whether it's an application, whether it's a service, or whether it's at the data center. So end to end, we provide a connected security solution. And we also come with SASE model in which we have the management, the security director, what we call it as, hosted in the cloud, so that you can push the policies anywhere in the network using the cloud-based architecture. And also, if you have anything on-prem, we can replicate those policies onto the cloud and take care of those policies, which will be pushed entire to the network. So finally, some of the validations, because today we have been certified by ICSA, AA certifications in terms of the security efficiency, what we bring in terms of whether it's at the data center, whether it's a campus, whether it's a branch, or the user, device, or an application. And also from the wired and wireless, we are in the top quadrant in the Gartner, as well as in the data center, we are in the top quadrant in the Gartner Magic Quadrants. So this is what I wanted to cover up in 15 minutes. It is very difficult, but I tried to give you the flavor of, in the digital transformation, how AI plays a role. What are the key takeaways I want to say is, one is to faster rollout of a brownfield and a greenfield data centers using intent-based networking. And second is client to cloud, where you need to have one logical network end to end to have to pinpoint the problems, resolve the issues faster using the AI, and enhance the customer experience and operator experience. And the third, to overlay a complete security which is connected end to end, not in silo, having a, whether it's a user based security, whether it's a device based security, whether it's application based security, or it is a data center level services and those kind of security, which should be connected end to end. And that is what I talked about in terms of how Juniper is trying to build this and provide solutions to the customers. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Rajesh, thank you very much. Always worthwhile listening to you, and good to know about the Juniper Connected Security as well. Your insights there. Thank you very much. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are all set to hold a discussion wherein we'll talk about the capability to design sources as well as solutions to understand more about any business, how at the core of the strength lies this particular aspect in the not so new normal. So ladies and gentlemen, I will just get connected to my panel discussants very shortly. Allow me a bit. I'll be right back.